All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Who Am I? Or What Have I Become? Notes number 3. And we're starting here on slide 27. And feel free to enjoy the little comic image there. But what we're doing right now is we're going from talking about individual atoms to what happens when particular atoms form connections or chemical bonds. So much like you've learned from 8th grade, we're going to kind of look at some of the basics and keep it very general and simple about atoms, how they're forming bonds or why. And we're going to go a little step further and look at specific types of molecules, or what may be called polymers, that make up the human body and make up our cells. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going. So here's slide 28, and on slide 28 I do ask you to do something. It says larger organisms are made up of more chemically bonded atoms than a smaller individual. That means someone bigger next to you is made up of more atoms than you are. The question is it fair to pick on an individual who is made up of fewer atoms than you? So your job is to make an argument. Is it fair or not, and why? Please do that now. Here we go, slide 29 is a reminder of the problems that we're kind of focusing on that give life and purpose to these activities we're doing right now. And again, problem number 1 is what's happening inside our bodies when we're healthy. And if we don't get that covered in this section, we certainly will get it covered later. Number 2 says what's happening inside our bodies when we fail to survive. We'll continue trying to learn more about this. And it says abiotic factors impact organisms, but how? So we'll learn a little bit more about how these molecules or atoms are interacting with our cells internally, with our body systems, trying to figure out what does it mean if they help or harm us. And over the next short period of time, over the next few weeks, we will keep investigating these and learning more about them. This will be really central focus for us as we start getting closer and closer to looking at cells and looking how our body works and how the environment affects how our body operates. Whether it's stress or vitamins, diet, toxins, and pollution. We're going to keep looking at it all. So stay tuned. All right, we have slide 30. Slide 30 has the definition for chemical bonding, which is joining of atoms to form new substances. It is also has something to do with the nucleus of each atom pulling the other electrons close and holding them. So chemical bonding occurs when the electrons of either atom are pulled by the nucleus of another atom. So in this example of A, we have the oxygen atom here, and its nucleus is pulling on the electron from this hydrogen, and the oxygen's nucleus is pulling or attracted to the electron of this hydrogen. So ultimately, because oxygen has a very good, strong attraction to other atoms' electrons, it is able to hold on and kind of form a bond or connection with the hydrogen because of its hold on the electrons. And you can see those two electrons are paired right here. One of those electrons that are there is oxygen's, and one of them is the hydrogen's. And the hydrogen is able to hold on fairly strong to its own electron. The hydrogen nucleus does pull on the electron also, but oxygen is a little more powerful and pulls it more closely. In fact, it's so strong, it can pull and attract the electrons of two hydrogen. When one oxygen pulls the electrons of this hydrogen and this one, you have yourself H2O or water. In your notebook, your job is to use the word electron, nucleus, and chemical bonding to answer number 1. And that's about A right here. So question number 1 focuses on A, and it says the oxygen atom's blank attracts the hydrogen atom's blank. The attraction forms a blank. So your job is to use the word electron, nucleus, and chemical bonding. If you're confused about what to write in the blanks, just rewind the video another 30 seconds and you'll hear me discuss the same exact idea again for how oxygen and hydrogen form chemical bonds. And then it says, what's happening with scenario B? So in your own words, or trying to use the new words like electron, nucleus, and chemical bonding, describe what happens in example B. We have 6 hydrogen atoms, and we have 2 nitrogen atoms. They react together to form these 2 structures. These are 2 structures called ammonia molecules, which is 1 nitrogen bonding to or forming a chemical bond with 3 hydrogens. And here's the second nitrogen or ammonia molecule. And then the ammonia molecule again is nitrogen bonded to 3 hydrogens. Please describe what happens here in this reaction as best as you can. And again, please watch the videos, such as this one right here, to get a better understanding of chemical bonding. All right, let's keep moving. Slide 31. Whoa. Slide 31 is simple enough. It just wants us to kind of look at different ways that scientists represent molecules or polymers. And they can be simply this way, like example A. They can be set up in example B, C, or D. All these models are of the same molecule, and that's sugar. Just different ways to represent it. As time goes by, we'll be spending more time creating models or drawn representations just like these to represent our ideas or understanding of things. Here's slide 32. Slide 32 just is an opportunity to kind of look at the bigger picture, which is our whole body is a collection of chemically bonded atoms. Think of it like this image right here, this body, and it's made up of little particles. Our whole body is made up of hundreds of trillions of these bonded atoms. In fact, if you look at this smaller section here, it says 10 to the 14 atoms in a typical human cell. That means one human cell contains 10 to the 14 atoms. That's hundreds of trillions of atoms just to make one human cell. Again, another way of looking at it is that it takes 100 trillion atoms to make a single cell. And would you believe it if I were to tell you that it takes 100 trillion atoms to make one cell, and your body is made up of hundreds of trillions of cells? So that's a lot of atoms it takes to basically create and construct your body. This graphic is pretty cool. It shows atoms bonding together to form molecules, bonding together in specific ways to form cells, and the cells themselves connect in certain ways to make tissue that then lead to organs, to body systems, and overall your body. So there's specific atoms and molecules that form our body, and then there's specific molecules or atoms we get from our environment. They can do us harm or help us. And we'll keep thinking about that in the future. This video right here is a technical clip, but it's pretty amazing, showing what scientists have discovered about how molecules work in the body and jobs that they have. Specific ones called motor proteins. I highly recommend watching this video. It's really interesting about how we have certain proteins in the body doing certain things that you would not believe. Little molecular machines. All right, next slide is slide 33. And on 33, you have a few different tasks. But let's look at the first one. The first task just asks you to say, how old do you think the carbon, nitrogen, and sulfur atoms are that make your body? How old do you think the atoms are that make your body? Did those atoms exist before you? Were they created to make you? What do you think? Please write your hypothesis down of what you think the age are of your atoms. The next task, number 2, and just as a reminder, the most common atoms of your body are nitrogen, phosphorus, carbon, sulfur, oxygen, and hydrogen. Those are some very common atoms that make the body. All right, number 2, it says, predict 5 places the carbon of your body could have been before it ended up as part of your body. So your goal is to make a brainstorm web and think of 5 different locations carbon could have come from that led to the creation of your body and the construction of your body. And that could have been when you were being developed as an embryo inside your mother, all the way to yesterday and the life you lived yesterday. Where do you think that carbon is? So, where do you think the carbon comes from that helps construct or maintain your body? Because a lot of the body is made up of carbon atoms. Where do you think it's all coming from? Where do you think it might have been before it was part of your body? Lastly, I recommend watching these two videos. These two videos walk you through the carbon cycle and also the nitrogen cycle, I believe. And these two videos give you a better sense of just how things are cycled. And after you watch these, it'll give you a little more assistance to create your brainstorm web, which is 5 places or 5 sources of carbon for your body. All right,